Okay, I think we're all getting signed on here. Little mic check. Everyone hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Little mic
Hello,
check.
hello.
Hey, how we doing?
Good.
Good. All right. We got a bunch of people signing on. Hey, Jimmy, how you doing? Hey, Lola. Hi, Ron. Ron Waltz, how you doing? Donnie, good to have you on our coaching session here. So everyone knows what to expect. We're gonna keep going with our smart calling, our smart prospecting and lead conversion methodology. It's 7 steps, basically the prospecting lead conversion that I train. Used to be in-person events all across the country, and with a huge group of inside sales team and a lot of agents, we have a chance to coach this strategy. And so for the first time ever have we actually made it open to the public. And so we're really excited to keep going with this series, if you will, talking about what and share so we can get kicked off with the document here. And hey, Dvorka, how you doing? Awesome. Won't be contributing much today. I'm on the road. That's okay. We're still glad you're here, Donnie. Still glad you're here. So, all right, we're gonna get going here. We got a lot to cover, so I want to make sure we get a chance to get through it all. So if you guys can actually, Claire, if you can share my screen, and just give me a thumbs up or a message when. Oh, there we go. I think everyone can see my screen.
Yep, you're good.
All right. So for those of you that have not joined us before in these weekly coaching sessions, basically what we do is we take a strategy or tactic within the sales and marketing workbook in the 12-month plan, and we dissect it, and we find actionable steps to apply. So we come off these weekly sessions better than we came on. And we've been doing some updates to this workbook. So if you see it looks a little bit different as we continue to update it, that's why. We're constantly making it better and more user-friendly. And so you can see basically one of the updates that we've done is we've laid out a very specific roadmap on going from where you're at to sales and marketing mastery. So how do I define sales and marketing mastery? Is essentially when you have really rock solid foundation to your sales and marketing systems, you have a foundation where you can scale, where if you choose to, and that's your goal, to go to 200 transactions and above. That's where I define, that's basically what the plan is built around. And so the first 90 days is basically getting the fundamentals down, and we have that mapped out here. You can see the roadmap. And if you're within 90 days of being with us, you should be going through this roadmap with your sales and marketing coordinator, AKA your sales and marketing specialist. You should be going through that with them. And then through the next 90 to 120 days, we take a deeper dive into prospecting and lead conversion. And so this is where we happen to be in our weekly coaching and training, is doing a series, a 7 or 8 week series on prospecting and lead conversion in this part of the roadmap. And then after that, we're going to transition into branding. And really, once you have your system set up, the finer art of branding and taking and shooting video and turning that into a multi-channel marketing approach. And then we kind of end off on maximizing profits. So you guys know what to expect going into these weekly coaching, sales and marketing coaching sessions through the rest of the year. So going back to where we are right now, we're talking about prospecting. So quick review on prospecting, and we're taking a deep dive into every prospecting and lead conversion at every type of script and dialogue imaginable. And then we're going to get into delivering a powerful sales presentation particularly with the have not met market, right? Ron, you said this the other day. If we were just training and coaching to referrals, right, we'd be doing ourselves an injustice because those are pretty much laydowns most of the time, right? So when we're filtering this information, it's to people that are in your database that you have not met yet, that you need to convert. And we all know that's an art and science of its own. So the framework that we use to basically go through this conversion process is outlined, if I go back to this book, on page 70. So if you want to go to, if you guys want to follow along here or know where I'm training off of, it's on page 70 of the workbook. When you have basically a whole section on prospecting and sales, where you have all the scripts and the dialogues. And this is a scorecard that we use to run all of the divisions in our company when it comes to prospecting and sales. So meaning when Ron is coaching an agent, or I'm working with an agent, or we're working with an inside sales agent who's prospecting on for sale by owners or expired, or even in our B2B division, everything comes back to this scorecard. And this scorecard has made our company and myself personally more sales than I could possibly even account for monetarily. Meaning, if it wasn't for this simple sheet that you see here, I don't think we would be where we're at in business today. I don't think we would have moved the billions of dollars in real estate that our different divisions have moved, and RHA has moved, if it wasn't for this simple sheet that you have here. So a quick refresh, and then we're going to get into one of the actual steps within this scorecard, and then we're going to spend at least half an hour to 45 minutes doing role play and prospecting like we did last week as we go down through this. I'd encourage you to consider using this for you and your team. As I told you my story about how when this used to be basically when it was just me in 2014, and I was getting ramped up and I just didn't even really have enough money at the time for a coach. So I used this as an accountability system to sharpen my own skills. And then we use this to duplicate it out. And the simple document is kind of where it all started. So getting into this, just a review, building rapport, basically part one is building rapport, or step one is building rapport and qualifying. And those are all the key components. And then you have building value, and then you have creating desire, then you have trial close, then you have overcoming the objection, you have follow-up, referral, and tracking your referrals, and then your time management, your attitude, and overall, basically your leadership, right, within your organization, or your team's ability to be a leader within your organization. So these simple 7 steps, I think we would agree, if we got really good, can we agree to this? Simply, if we got really good at all, like mastered every single one of these 7 steps, would we agree that we would probably make 20 to 30% more money than we're making right now if we hyper focused on these 7 things? Is there anyone that would disagree with that? Right. So if that's the case and nobody disagrees, then I think we got to get we should hyper focus on it, right? And really hone in and see where is my team at with these things? Are we even training and coaching to these things? How often are we thinking about these things, both for ourselves and our team, right? And final point, if we think about the most important thing in our businesses, okay, the most important thing in our business and what they are, is it hiring a coach? Is it having the best scripts? Is it having the best technology? Right? All those things are important. But at the end of the day, if we really think about what's important, it's our ability to identify, it's our ability to find buyers and sellers that are ready to do something and convert them into business. Right? If we really think about what the one thing is that we should be focused on constantly, it's that. Because without enough qualified opportunities, right, there's not going to be enough closing. There's not going to be enough transactions. Without enough transactions, right, there's no closings. And if we think about where we stop scaling, it's because of this, right? And that's where I just want to encourage you guys, to hyper focus on lead conversion and these 7 steps within it, and your business will skyrocket wherever you're at. I don't even care if you're listening to me right now and you're doing 100 transactions right now, you'll go to 150 if you and your team get focused on this. And by the way, you won't have to spend one more dime in marketing to do it. That's the exciting part, right? It's not just doing lead generation and just generating more leads and catching that low-hanging fruit. It's about hyper focusing on lead conversion, and that's what this document does. So with that said, last week we talked about value. This week we're going to talk about creating urgency. So I want to kind of open it up here and ask you guys a question. What are some ways that we can create urgency and curiosity, both when we're prospecting and when we're actually in our sales presentation? What are some things we can create curiosity and urgency to act sooner than later when we're prospecting, and also when we're in our actual listing presentation, or we're trying to move that ball forward? So let's talk about that openly. What are some ways to create urgency? And I want to hear from interest rates. Janet, great suggestion.
I was about to say, Janet beat me to it. Time of year. I mean, we're just right around the corner from those holidays.
Yep, time of year. And we're going to also we're going to get that as an objection, but we can use that. Actually, there's a way to overcome that objection, to use that in our favor, which I think is really good to talk about, for sure. Lack of inventory. Yeah. That's a really great way to create urgency, for sure. Identifying benchmarks and timelines, selling now based on time. Yep. And it won't last. Absolutely. Current market status. Yep. It's good. One big one, if somebody could type this in for me, is making sure that we're closing on their pain and motivation, right? As a form of creating urgency for them to move forward. Is election year. Yeah, that's right. You don't know what's going to happen during an election year. That's really good. Yep. But making sure that a big one is, if we found their pain and motivation, we're really connected to it, and there's something strong there, is making sure that we're enrolling them, or we're moving forward, whether it be the agreement or transitioning to the agreement, getting to sign the agreement based on their motivation. Okay. I want you guys to write this down. It's creating desire and urgency is kind of like, number one is the number one factor in how much business you get or don't get. Okay. Your ability to create urgency and desire for them to do business with you, first and foremost, and to do it sooner than later. Okay, of course, if you believe sincerely it's in their best interest, right? As long as you believe that sincerely it's in their best interest, your ability to do that is the number one skill from a sales and marketing perspective that you can develop as a real estate professional. It will change your bottom line. It'll change your profit. It'll change how many leads you have to generate versus how many you close. Okay. So, and then your ability to also then teach and train and coach your team on how to create urgency and create curiosity and maybe doubt and what if they don't work with you, right? That it may not be, it's in their best interest to work with you, and then speak to their pain and motivation. So I'll say it one more time. Your ability to create urgency is one of the number one skills when it comes to sales and marketing that you can develop as a real estate professional. And I want to write that in the hangout. Okay. More deals are lost to other agents because they were better at speaking to their pain and motivation, and they were better at creating urgency to get them to act now. Not because they have a better marketing plan, right? Not because they liked them better, right? Not because they thought they were necessarily a better agent. It's because they hit a hot button that got them to move, right? So is this making sense? Ron, do you have anything you want to add? Anything? Any questions from the group before we move on from this? And then I got a story basically to tell you along those lines.
What I like to add is when you think about creating urgency, if you do an amazing job on explaining why time in this market is their enemy, in plain English. First of all, you have to have a thorough understanding of how the market you're in is working, and then you take that, dissect it into timing. And what is their pain? Well, if you don't realize that time is your enemy, you don't realize that the longer you sit on the market, and I'm not talking months, I'm talking days, you're losing money, and that's painful to lose. Nobody wants to lose any money. And if you can explain why time is so important, especially in the market that you're in today, that is urgent. If you need to get your house on the market. And if you can do that and explain it in such a way that they realize, that you've got a good point, that now it's curious. Well, why? How much can I lose? What do you mean? Et cetera, et cetera. It's a great conversation to have when you want to talk about creating urgency.
Right, absolutely. And so I'm hoping that we're starting to see how these things stack, right? Where if you have great rapport and you've asked the right questions, you've found their pain, you found the motivation, and now you have your unique value propositions, what you bring to the table to speak to how you can help them based on their pain and motivation. And then you layer it in. It's like an onion, right? It's layers. At the center of it, it's building rapport and qualifying. And then the next layer is the value. And then the next layer is the urgency, right? Those are the three, to Ron's point, those are the three layers that need to come together in this onion, if you will, and as an analogy. And I love Ron, how you said, the time, right? Because time, I think everyone is one thing that everybody can relate to, because time is almost always money when it comes to real estate, right? If they're motivated, right? If they're truly motivated, right? If you got a tire kicker, then that's a whole nother conversation, right? If they're not really motivated. So, good. I don't want to beat this up, but it's important. So I want to make sure that everyone's clear where you're thinking about this. When you go into your next prospecting call, whether it be a buyer or seller, or whether you're going into your next presentation, your listing presentation, or you're doing a discovery meeting with a buyer, that you're very aware of how these things stack, and you're really focused on finding ways to speak to their pain and motivation to create urgency for them to do business. Right? So anything else before we move on and actually get into some role play here? Cool. So Christina, we did geographical farming, and I want to transition to doing for sale by owner. Okay. So I got a story kind of tell too that's going to really hopefully help this point hit home. So I'll give you a chance to pull up the script. If you guys are wondering where all the scripts are, the scripts are actually all located in your workbook now. So everything that we're going to reference, and I'll go down to the for sale by owner script, which is right here on page 78. Okay, so 77, 78, we got to work on the spacing here a little bit. So we'll go down to that page, and that script is basically, this is a sample of what we use. There's a ton of great for sale by owner scripts that are out there. Remember, it's not just about the words on the paper. It's what you feel comfortable with and making it your own, and your tone and your pace and your hesitation and modulation when you're going through these scripts. So just a quick story on urgency. Recently, I was working with an agent in Michigan, and there was a scenario where they were thinking about holding the property off the market because of COVID, because of what's happening with COVID. And basically, the agent was talking about how to overcome that. And I asked them, well, what's the motivation of, what's the reason why they want to actually sell in the first place? So there was a specific issue. I don't remember all the details, but there was a specific issue with needing to get closer to the parents because of a specific health issue. But they were also concerned about the health issue, the concerns with COVID. And basically what we did is we came up with a talk track for him to go back and follow up and ask a few questions like, hey, let me ask you, how important is it? Like, ideally, if you were in a scenario, and this is the question that created urgency, that spoke to their pain and motivation all at once, and this is the power of questions, but I told him to ask the question this way. Hey, look, if there was a scenario where you felt safe selling your home, and I could work out those details, and you could get to down to close to your parents sooner than later, that's something that's something that you'd be open to considering, right? And he asked that question, and they said yes to that question. And so now all he then has to do is showcase how he's going to make sure they're safe during COVID, the things he's going to do to make sure they're safe, and then go back to speaking to the fact they're going to be closer to their parents. And then that one question followed up by the bringing them into what their experience is going to be like as they do business with him, and how he makes sure that it's safe. That one question followed up by that summary got him a $450,000 listing where they might not have done the business. Show you the power of asking the right question and creating urgency. And by the way, that was a for sale by owner testing the market, and that was the objection that they gave, that they were thinking about taking it off because they don't know because of COVID, and they've had some bad experiences, and they're thinking about going for sale by owner next time they listed their property. So hopefully that story hits home. That helps you, kind of an example of creating urgency. So with that, Christine, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome. All right, Ron, if you can be the homeowner, that would be great.
No problem.
Okay, all right, and Ron, you ready? Oh, now I got to change my broker because I always use you now, so now you can't be Ron and Ron.
I'll be Julio Iglesias.
Oh, geez. All right, ring, ring.
Hello?
Yeah, hey, I was looking for the owner of 123 South Main Street.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah, I was looking at the property online, and I was just curious if you were still taking offers.
Yeah, I'm taking offers.
Okay, great. Is the property on the MLS, or are you contracted with an agent I should direct my questions to?
No. I'm not paying any commissions for this. I have to do it myself.
Okay,
So if we can pause right there. Okay. Well, what I want to do is kind of dissect the psychology behind this and what you're doing, and then we can kind of keep working down through it, Christina, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So basically, Christina doesn't know if she has the right homeowner's name, even though she got some public information. It's a for sale by owner. You don't know if it's the owner's name, if it's the right name. So we have a tendency to go in, not even if we have a name, not saying, hey, is John there, or hey, is Bob there, unless we 100% know it really is Bob's name, because there's nothing more awkward than actually going into a call and actually saying somebody's name that's not them. Right. So just to give you a little bit of a breakdown here and how this script is built out, why we say, hey, we're looking for the homeowner at 1234 Street. And then if you look at going into the next part of the question, we want to know, basically, we want to find a way to get a couple sentences down into and get into asking questions as quick as possible to create some interaction before we get into our pitch. So that way there's a little bit of dialogue. That's the psychology behind this. So there's a little bit of dialogue here before we start getting blasted with questions, or we hit a sales trigger, if you will. Christina, am I explaining that clear enough, or do you want to add anything to that with the first two sentences here?
Yeah, and the one thing I was thinking is just I'm referencing my script that we use as ISAs, and I was looking at yours and I thought it's not I don't see the MLS question there.
Yeah,
so
thank you. Let's bring that up too.
I didn't want to provide any confusion there.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you brought that up. So one of the things we do is we always like to ask, and we encourage you guys too, it's good for the agents to do as well, is to say, is the qualifying, right? We want to qualify up front to make sure that they indeed are not listed with another agent that you should direct your questions to, because that protects you, obviously, from soliciting a lead that's on the MLS and you didn't even know it. Some for sale by owners, they're listed for sale by owner, but they're actually using an MLS or like a set fee listing provider,
like a
right?
Flat fee, yeah.
A flat fee listing provider, right? So it's important to ask those questions. So why don't you start from the top, Christina, and then we'll kind of go down into the next part of the script, and I'll probably stop you after you've asked a couple questions.
Okay. Ring, ring.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, hey, I was looking for the owner of 245 South Main Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at the property online and was curious if you were still taking offers.
Sure, I'm taking off. I'm trying to sell it.
Awesome. Great. Is the property on the MLS, or are you contracted with an agent I should direct questions to?
No. I'm not paying commission, so no, I'm not working with no agent.
Okay. All right. So you're doing for sale by owner then?
That's what I am.
All right. Fantastic. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. My name's Chris.
My name's Julio.
Oh, hey, Julio. Really quick, Julio. Let me tell you why I'm calling. Ron Mazza with Realty Home Advisors saw your property online, and he really liked it and noticed it hadn't sold yet. And in this market, we're seeing lower inventories combined with record low interest rates, making most property values increase 6 to 10% across the board, with many properties selling in just a few days with multiple offers after getting exposed to most buyers. He just asked me to reach out and get some more information and see if we could help each other out. This is a beautiful property. I'm just curious, what made you want to sell it?
I'm selling it because I know about this market. It's supposed to be real good. So I figured, hey, I'll give it a shot. But, if you got a buyer you want to bring over, it's all,
Okay,
bring it over.
Let's pause right there. So that's good. So Christina, what's the psychology behind that next part of why it's laid out the way it is and why you asked the question that you asked?
Well, at this point we're looking to build some value and also really explain why we're calling, because of course typically one of those top questions that comes out of a for sale by owner's mouth is, do you have a buyer? That's a very common objection that we get right out of the gate. So we'd like to just clarify why we're calling and create a little bit of interest, urgency, a little bit of desire of oh, well, maybe they've got something for me to hear that would be valuable.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite first question?
My favorite first question is asking if they've had any activity on the property, actually. For some reason, I love that question. And I find that, people, especially for sale by owners, they like to talk about their property. Like Julio was saying, no, he knows all about it. He knows what he's doing. And, even though there's a little sarcasm there, that is exactly what we run across for the for sale by owner. They know best. They are already aware of it. And so, take advantage of that. Let them tell you something that will be of value to me to build my case, basically. So how much activity have you had, and that way I can take it from there. If they haven't had much activity and it's been on the market for a while, that can give me additional information to create some doubt and, then move it to the next step in the sales process.
Awesome. My favorite first question is, it looks like a nice transitioning from that sentence where it's like, yeah, and as you know, there's a lack of inventory and it's really driving up property values. So it's one of the best times to sell in history. And I'm just curious. It looks like a nice property out of curiosity. What made you decide to sell it? And I love that question because you've complimented them. It's hard for them to give you any kickback. And it creates really good dialogue because guess what? It's their home. It's their home. So most likely they have some attachment, right, to their home. Not everyone loves their home, but most people are like talking about their home, right? Especially if you compliment them. And that one question, you could find pain, motivation, what's going on with the house. Like there's so many times that I never have to ask any other question by just asking that one question. It's like one of the, imagine like a group of dominoes, right? Where it's like that question for me is that domino that tips all the other dominoes that helps me find the information that I need. So that's why I like asking that question first. So, all right. Is there any, what about your favorite question to start? Okay, cool. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Any questions from the crowd, from people listening in before we keep the dialogue going here with this script and getting through it? So the purpose of these questions are what? Pop quiz. Why are we asking these questions in the first place? What are we trying to do in our building rapport and qualifying section, going back to the 7 steps? What are we trying to do with these questions? What are we trying to find?
And desire.
Right? Thank you, Janet. You're awesome. I knew I liked you, Janet. I knew I liked you. You're trying to find pain and motivation, right? Yep. And rapport, absolutely. You're building rapport and finding pain and motivation, all from asking effective questions. Yep, absolutely. So let's take it from the top, Christina, and we'll keep working our way down through it.
Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello, you again? Hello.
Yo, Julio, it's me again. Oh no. Hey, I was looking for the owner of 245 South Main Street.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just looking at the property online and was curious if you're still taking offers on it.
Oh yeah, I'm selling this house. I'm looking for an offer.
Okay, fantastic. Is the property on the MLS, or are you contracted with an agent I should direct questions to?
No, I'm not paying commissions, so no, I'm not any of that stuff.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. My name's Chris.
Julio.
Oh, hey, really quick, Julio. Let me tell you why I'm calling. Ron Mazza from Realty Home Advisors saw your property online, and he really liked it and noticed it hadn't sold yet. You know, in this market, we're seeing lower inventories combined with record low interest rates, making most property values increase 6 to 10% across the board, with many properties selling in just days with multiple offers after getting exposed to the most buyers. And he just wanted me to reach out and get some more information and see if we might be able to help each other out. This is a beautiful property. I'm just curious, what made you want to sell it?
Because I know all about the market. It's all over the TV. So I figured I'm going to take advantage of it.
Okay. So you thought maybe based on what you've heard, you can get top dollar for your house right now.
That's my goal.
Okay, fantastic. Do you have a plan of where you might go to after you sell? Have you put an offer in on anything, looked at anything?
No, I got time. You know, I'm thinking about it. Don't know yet.
Okay. You thinking of staying local or making a big move out of it?
Don't know. Once I get it sold, I'll have to make that decision.
Okay. And you know, have you had a lot of activity on the house? So a lot of people come in and take a look yet?
Oh yeah, I've had people in here.
Okay. Have they provided you any feedback? Maybe something that they really liked about the house or anything along those lines?
You know how they are. They're busy. They're all looking.
Okay. So a lot of tire kickers, just people walking through, taking a peek at the house, and no offers on the table yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm sure a couple people very interested. Been here long. They were here a long time.
Were they? Okay. So they seemed really interested.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, fantastic. You know, the thing is, Julio, even in a hot market, if the property doesn't sell fairly quickly, you know, usually like in the first 1 to 2 weeks, most homeowners will start getting lower offers. And, you know, 90% of the homes around here are sold by 10% of the agents. And properties like yours are typically selling at multiple offers, driving up the asking price if enough buyers see the home. And, you know, based on what you told me, I want to put you in touch with Ron, because Ron sells more property in that market in a month than most are doing in the year. Frank,
Let's stop there. Okay. So I want to break down some psychology. Christina, that paragraph before you get into your questions, what are you trying to do? What kind of seeds are you planting? Because we're talking about creating urgency and desire, right? Mm-hmm. And that being one of our 7 steps. So what seeds are you planting as far as creating urgency and desire up front before you get into asking the question about why their home hasn't sold yet or what kind of activity they had? So walk us through that psychology of that part of the script.
Well, and typically what we're looking to do first is talk about what's happening right now in the market, hopefully pique their interest, get some dialogue going, really let them know the purpose of our call, and also provide a little bit of value there to a real estate agent, almost without them knowing, just kind of.
And I'm gonna probably oversimplify this, right, when I say this, but you're actually creating urgency and desire by reading that paragraph.
Absolutely.
Right. Right.
I gave you the long version.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Mark always tells me to just sum it up. I'm sure he's laughing at me right now.
The whole goal of that paragraph is it's what's called a pre-frame. If you want to write that term down, it's a pre-frame where you're actually framing them. You're setting the conversation up to then ask a follow-up question that you already know the answer to. That's going to create pain and motivation, because part of our job is they might not even know. They might not know if their property is sitting on the market for 3 weeks, that they're going to start going downhill and they miss the peak opportunity to sell their home. They might not know that, right? So if you set it up the right way and you frame it out the right way up front before you go into your questions and you go into your dialogue, that's how you have success and create a pain and motivation that's real. They just didn't know it yet, right? You create that curiosity, you create that doubt, right? So you're planting that seed up front. How exciting it is, how properties are flying off within days, interest rates are awesome, right? Knowing that they haven't attracted a buyer yet, right? You know that in a week or two for a lot of these people you're calling, right? So that's the site. That's how it creates urgency and desire up front. So, and then going into the questions, do you think you found his pain and motivation through those questions? Think you found anything?
Yeah, I would have liked to, because I feel like that's not his real pain and motivation. He's trying to tell me it's money, but usually there's something else. So I'm not satisfied that I actually found his true pain and motivation. So I probably am going to have to.
So let's hear from the crowd too. What do we think? I want to hear from anybody who's actively listening here. What do we think his pain and motivation is? If we remember, I know it was in role play, but what do we think? What do you think it was, Christina?
I think it's money because. But
what do you mean money? Explain.
Well, because he said he thought he could get top dollar for his property. So he's thinking, well, yeah, if I can walk away with a good chunk of change, I'm selling it. But usually there's another reason why somebody genuinely wants to sell their house.
So if we didn't find the reason yet, what are some questions that we can draw it out? What are some lead questions that we can draw it out if we didn't find it yet?
And you want me to answer or the crowd to answer? Or both?
Doesn't matter to me. Both.
Okay. One of the things that I was considering asking was what attracted him to the property when he first bought it. You gotta find the right question to get this guy to open up.
Yeah. So let's put yourself in a homeowner's shoes. Why does any homeowner sell outside of getting the most money they can? Right? It's usually either because they've had you have your pains, which are death, divorce, disaster, right, of some kind. Those are your pains, or injury, change of employment, right? Think about all the reasons, right? And then you have your positive things. Like they had diapers. They had diapers and diamonds. They got married, right? They're they had a baby, so they got to upsize, right? So you have your positive things, right? They got promoted. So if you know that there's only so many reasons people move, so then you just frame your questions around those reasons. So for example, hey, just out of curiosity, if you got the money that you want to, are you staying in the area or would you be moving outside of the area? Oh, cool. Do you have family down there? It's the Ford principle, right? And that's where you see the notes. In the notes, it says the Ford principle. So if you weren't here last week, we talked about family, occupation, recreation, dreams, where if you haven't, they're giving you a surface answer. Okay, assuming you could get the top dollar for the home, just out of curiosity, do you have to find another home first before you can move? I love that question, right? Because now I'm going to get them to think about buying, the exciting part, right? Oh, cool. Have you looked at properties yet? And I want, for all the agents listening here, just really focus in on this. Because worst case scenario, if you can't get the listing, what do you have on your hands potentially? A buyer lead, right? We're like countless times, like I've done trainings on this, and it drives me nuts because I'm like, wait a second, if we just get them focused on buying a little bit too, we have more of a chance to actually get the listing, because if they want to work with us buying, why wouldn't they they'll be open to working with us on the listing down the road too. It's another way to get my foot in the door. So we can go show them some properties while we're showcasing our listings, right? And you got two angles at it now, right? So don't just see this as a listing. It's a potential, you can potentially work with them, because a lot of these people, they haven't made a decision. They don't have a buyer's agent they're working with yet. Right? Does that make sense? Christine, you think I'm communicating that clear enough?
Absolutely. That's, I definitely agree that a lot of people miss that portion, that this could be a buyer too.
Right.
And if you can establish some sort of relationship,
Yes.
whether you get the listing or not, and
Right.
create some sort of value, if it goes on too much longer, even if you don't get their attention now, if you're providing them something somewhere, you've already created that relationship with them, and
Right.
you just got to stay in front of them, because a lot of real estate is opportunity too.
Yep.
Oh, you got to be in front of them when they're ready to pull the trigger. So
Right.
um,
So
just
a
keep
really
those lines
powerful
open.
question is, hey, just out of curiosity, and you should know anyway too, right? Just in your fact finding, is, hey, just out of curiosity, if you get the offer that you want on this home, do you have to find another place before you move, or out of curiosity, where are you at with that part of the process? Right? Oh, great. What type of home are you looking for? Right. Ranch. Oh yeah. You know what? It is really hard to find a home right here. Hey, by the way, are you working with an agent? Are you working with anybody to help you with that process? Right. So now you have multiple reasons to set up this discovery meeting, right? As you transition. So, all right, let's pick it back up, Christina. Let's maybe not pick it up from the top. Let's get into let's start off with we're getting them excited about the market they're in and how there's a lack of inventory, and then we'll go in from there. Okay.
Isaiah?
Yes, sir.
I just want to make a comment. I was leading her down a road,
Yeah.
and I thought I was going to get it, but she didn't give it to me because I gave her every opportunity. And basically, when she was asking me, I told her I knew all about the market, et cetera, et cetera. She was telling me how fast houses sell, but she never asked me if, for any reason, am I concerned about the fact that I've had activity, I've had people that I was excited that they were there 2 hours. Am I concerned at all that because of the market we're in and I'm supposed to know about it, that I haven't had an offer yet? Does that concern me at all? And she didn't ask me that. And I was leading her down that road, because had she said to me, are you concerned at all that you haven't received any offers at all, but you've had a good activity, doesn't that bother you? And then see what I would have said. That's a loaded for sale by owner question. Loaded.
Yes. So let's give it another shot, and Christina, just keep that in the back of your mind as you're going through this.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me see. I'm going to start with.
So real quick, let me tell you why I'm calling. Why don't you start there?
All right. So really quick, Julio, let me tell you why I'm calling. Ron Mazza from Realty Home Advisors saw your property online, and he really liked it, and noticed it hadn't sold yet. And in this market, we're seeing lower inventories combined with record low interest rates, making most property values increase anywhere from 6 to 10% across the board, with many properties selling in just days with multiple offers after getting exposed to the most buyers. He asked me to reach out and get some more information, see maybe if we could help each other out. This is a beautiful property, Julio. I'm just curious, what's making you want to sell it?
So Christina, can you back up a little bit and just say that in your own words, and just in a more natural way, even if you don't hit every word on that paragraph? I think this is a great example for everybody to hear, because I know you've been spending a lot of your time calling different types of leads lately.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right.
I have
just in
not
transparency,
gone back to this one in a while.
she hasn't called for sale by owners in a little bit. So in fairness, but this is a great learning opportunity where I want you to say that paragraph, but just in a natural way with tone, pace, hesitation, modulation. And even if you don't hit every bullet point right on there. So if you could start that over and just say it with excitement, tone, hesitation, and then we'll move on into the next part of it. Okay. So start from the real quick. Yep.
Really quick, Julio, let me just tell you why I'm calling. Ron from Realty Home Advisors saw your property online, and he really liked it. He knows they hadn't sold yet, and in this market we're seeing a lot lower inventories, and that combined with record low interest rates, making most property values increase anywhere from 6 to 10% across the board. You know,
So let
he
me
asked me to.
can I try saying this part of the paragraph? Is that okay? And just hear me out on it. Okay.
Yep.
Because there's certain words that if you emphasize those words when you're going through it, it's going to stand out and stick. It's what I call stickiness, verbal stickiness. That it'll stand out more in their mind. All right. So let me just take a stab at it. Okay. So. And I wanted to reach out for more information to see if we could possibly help each other out. Christina, you've probably noticed there's a lack of inventory right now, and it's really driving up the value of the property. Do you guys? So, did you hear how I sounded when I said driving?
Yeah, yeah.
So anything that's an action verb, especially express it as actionable. Right? Or I don't know if that's the right way to say it. Maybe you guys can help me out with that. But
almost forward.
Yes.
Driving.
Yes.
I understood where you were going with that. Yep.
Okay. So start over and try just in the key areas that really can create emotion in the words. Try to quote unquote drive that home. So.
Drive. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So. Really quick, Julio, let me tell you why I'm calling. Ron saw your property online and he asked me to reach out and get some more information and see if maybe we could help each other out. You've just probably noticed there's a real lack of inventory, and that's driving values up, so it's a great time to sell. So, I'm just curious, what made you want to sell your property right now?
What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, right now I'm going to tell her, I have to sell my house.
Yeah.
I want to sell it. That's why. That's what's making me sell it. I want to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm losing interest.
All right.
I think we're practicing one line. That's all. I mean, if I was going to take a stab at it, I basically say, look, the reason I'm calling you, you're probably getting a lot of phone calls, aren't you? Wait for an answer. Maybe yes, maybe no. Say, with the amount of activity that's out there, you're probably going crazy. Yes? No? Oh, okay. Well, with the amount, prices are just going nuts. And in our area, houses are selling within a day or so. I mean, offers in a day, multiple offers, sometimes 10% higher than even the asking price.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of buyers, good qualified buyers, but there's no houses to buy. And You're in a great area. Now, let me ask you this. With all that said, in a beautiful area, a beautiful home, what prompted you to put it on the market by yourself?
I love it. And you said the exact same thing that was on the script, but in your own own pace, and it was very engaging, and it caught my attention for sure.
And I put everything into a form of a question instead of just telling them. Because this is a prospecting call. As a seller, I'm just listening to somebody talk to me, but now you're not talking to me, you're talking at me.
Mm-hmm.
You're not involving me in this conversation. Why are you calling me? I don't even know who you are.
Well, it's little things like or like those little pauses that makes it not seem like you're telling them, but you're asking them, but you're leading them down a pathway still.
Right.
So
yes.
Cool, Christina, you're doing great. Let's do it one more time, and we'll keep moving. And we'll keep this moving down, this trail moving.
All right, am I starting at the top?
Just that transit. Not at the very top, but where you're saying. Here, let me tell you why I'm calling. Right.
Really quick, Julio. Let me tell you why I'm calling. Ron saw your property online, and he really liked it. He knows it hadn't sold yet, and I don't know if you know, but in this market, we're seeing really low inventories combined with record low interest rates, and the property values are really going through the roof, anywhere from 6 to 10% across the board. I'm just curious, with that type of activity, what prompted you to sell the property on your own?
Because I want to take advantage of the market you're telling me about.
Okay, so you're looking to see how much money you can get out of this property?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Have you thought about maybe where you'll go next? I mean, if you're able to pull out what you think you can.
It depends. It all depends on what I get for this house.
Okay. Okay. And
I don't have to sell. I don't have to sell it.
you don't have to sell. So, if you were looking to buy something else, you don't have to use the money in this property to buy your next house.
No, I didn't say that. I just said I don't have to sell my house.
Okay. Okay. So you'd be satisfied just staying put then if you didn't get the right offer.
Yeah. Oh, you
Okay.
said it yourself. It's a beautiful house.
Yeah, definitely. Which is why I wondered what your train of thought was there. Have you had a lot of activity coming through there yet?
Yeah, I've had a lot. I told you, people were here 2 hours.
2 hours? No
2
offer
hours.
yet?
Well, I don't know. People are busy, maybe they take time to think about it. This is a big decision,
I hear you, but the amount of inventory right now, there's a house in Greece that had 56 offers on it. Julio, I mean, that was in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, well, that's Greece. This is Pittsburgh.
Well, that's even more desirable, Pittsburgh. They're getting, we're still seeing at least 10 to 15 offers on houses in your price range in Pittsburgh. And that's within 2 to 3 days. Doesn't that concern you that you haven't seen anything yet?
Should I be?
Yes, I think you should be.
Why?
Well, because, listing with an agent exposes you to a lot more of the market. Being on Zillow, you're only exposed to about 30% of the market right now.
Really?
And a lot of those people aren't even really serious buyers. They're not even pre-approved yet. So why wouldn't you?
Well, wait. How do you know they're not pre-approved? How do I know they're pre-approved?
That's a good question. Has anyone said to you when they came in, have you asked them, are you pre-approved to buy this house?
I ask them if they can afford it. They go, not a problem.
Sure. Well, Julio, I have to tell you that, we can tell anything to anyone. But number one, you want to be dealing with pre-approved buyers, and that's something that an agent can help you with. And, what I'd like to do is have you talk to Ron. He works with pre-approved buyers and he works with sellers, and he can really get you in front of the maximum number of buyers in the market and, see if he might be able to get this property sold for you.
Yeah, but I don't know how to pay to anybody. In my house, if I got to pay that commission, you're talking thousands of dollars. For what? Really?
Well, for what? To get it sold.
If I sell it myself, look at the money. Look, tell this Ron guy, he's Italian. Is this guy Ron? If he's an Italian guy, I'll pay him 2% commission if he brings in a buyer, and I get my price.
Well, listen, Julio, one thing I don't do is I don't talk about the agent's commission. What I'd like to do is bring him on the line, and he can actually give you a little bit more information, and you can talk commission with him. Give me a minute, and I'll pull him on.
Go ahead. I'm
All
ready.
right, you're in.
Okay.
Now I talk to myself.
No, Julio, you're talking to Ron.
That's split personality.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So
I was gonna tie you down, but then you gave me the commission.
I was gonna tie you down, Ron.
No, not like that.
Okay.
My wife's here.
Where's my wife?
She's in her office.
Listen, we are live.
Oh boy, this is a family show. Okay.
Yeah.
I said, listen, if there's a way to get the property sold for the right amount or more, you don't care, who sells it, right? That's where I was going, but he gave me the window for commission, so.
Yeah, well, the thing is too, is you never told me it's free and non-committal. Ever. You never said that word. All I'm thinking in my head is, I got to pay this guy? I just started this process, and now I got to bring a guy in, pay him to tell me something I maybe already know. You got to remember to let them know look, it's a consultation. It's free, it's non-committal, it takes a few minutes, and maybe you'll get a suggestion on how to get your house sold by yourself. At the very least, you're going to walk away with more information than you had before, than you have right now. So that's worth 5 minutes of your time, isn't it, Julio? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think we have a Donnie. I'm going to get your question. He says at 2:30 today. What time zone are you in, Donnie? Because it's 2:17 right now, our time. I want to make sure.
Okay, he's in ours.
He's in our time.
Yep.
Okay, I think we should transition and Ron and get some insight here because Donnie's gonna walk out with that listing appointment.
Okay, he said 3:30.
Oh, it's 3:30. Perfect. So, can you see the chat, Ron?
No, I can't, Isaiah.
Okay, if you look at my screen, I got the chat up so you can read it. If you guys can still see my screen.
No, I can't see.
Ron, go down at the bottom and click where it says chat. Hover
Got it.
over the bottom.
Oh.
Okay.
All right, got it. All right, I see the chat.
Yep. So this is a real life scenario. I love this, Donnie. Thank you. So 75-year-old, for sale by owner. He's a builder who's has a new construction home. This home is about $50,000 overpriced. Fun fact: he literally knows everything. Sounds like a lot of for sale by owners we talk to. And if you don't believe me, ask him. He'll tell you the very same thing. So he hasn't had any offers.
No activity either in the last week.
Yep. In a market like this, he attributes it to his pride and lack of reality-based info. What are some ways we can bridge this gap?
All right. Well, without talking to the guy myself, I'm just going to take a stab at this.
Yep.
All right. So just by you identifying him, number one, he's overpriced. That tells you something immediately. There's a reason for it. Does he know it's overpriced? That's the key. Yep. Has anybody proven to him what you're doing now with the price is probably what's hurting you. It's not hurting you from selling, it's hurting you from getting enough people through it so that you can at least get some kind of an offer. He says it's on the MLS. He has not marketed the property yet. All right. Just because it's on the MLS, that means all the agents who've seen it don't want it, and no buyers are seeing it because the buyers don't go on the MLS. All right. Have you told him that? Because that's not helping him. So what he's telling you is he wants to bring agents in because he's on the MLS. So does that mean he's looking for a buyer with an agent? He attributes it to the home not being finished. Hey, turn that into a positive. I mean, he can advertise it. The buyer can finish it with him. The buyer can pick out whatever that needs to be, colors, carpets. I mean, that's a wonderful thing of selling point is it's not finished because I want the buyer to finish it the way they want it. I'm showing him today with proof, but he dismisses comps. Don't use the comps, all right? This guy, if he's the builder, he knows what he's got in it. He knows what he can get for it. He also knows it's $50,000 overpriced because you know it's overpriced, and so does he. So I think the key is that if you take an approach to say, look, I don't know if I can help you or not, but I do want to help you sell your house. Whether you let me do it with you or you just take some advice. And number one, I wouldn't go through the comps because now you're talking about building square footage. I don't know the area. I don't know what the lot costs are. But you know, you said yourself that it is $50,000 overpriced. So what I would tell him is a positive. If he's got it on the MLS, okay, there's no agents out there that are bringing people in, obviously, or there's not a lot of them because in the MLS, he's got to have a commission in there. I'm assuming that's true. So he's already willing to pay a buyer's agent to come in and sell it. The problem we got here is a buyer's agent is not going to walk in and with a buyer who, when he knows it's $50,000 overpriced, and even though the buyer could pick out colors and different things and finish the house, you know, because I'm assuming that he's got it priced, maybe I'm wrong, if he's got it priced $50,000 over its value because it's not finished, or is the $50,000 going towards finishing it? I guess I don't understand which way the builder's going with this. So
Yeah.
I guess the best advice I can give you at this point is go in there and see how you
Due to
can
pride,
help them.
he said due to pride.
Well, yeah, I mean, all these builders are pride,
Yeah.
I should say.
So here's my question, and I would ask this to the builder. Let me ask you, John, what made you decide to try to attract an offer before the house is done? I want to find out why he's even doing this. Why he's even doing that right now as a for sale by owner anyway.
Well, it says that he did finish it now. If I'm reading this correctly.
Okay,
cool.
And it has a special lot.
Okay, it's a special lot. So all right.
Special to who?
And it's finished now, right?
Who's it special to?
Him.
Oh, is he buying it back from himself?
Well, the thing is, if it's not at the right price point,
it's finished.
It's.
Let me go down my train of thought, guys. let me go down my train of thought here, if I could, and tell me if this makes sense, Ron. Okay. So if I'm working with him, he's a for sale by owner, right? So first of all, what's important to him? What's he really at the end of the day need to net on the property? First and foremost, it's beautiful. Why is he deciding to sell it on his own? Why did he make a choice to sell it on his own?
Well, he's not. He's putting it in the MLS, so he's looking for a buyer.
Isaiah, it goes back to what you said, though. We don't have his true pain and motivation.
That's what I'm trying to get at. What is his Donnie? What is his pain and what is his motivation, and what is his pain at this point? We know his pain. He hasn't found a buyer yet, right? But why is he selling as a for sale by owner right now?
He's in competition with a contractor across the street in development.
Yeah.
Sell for more. Okay, he's meeting him for the first time in person, I'm assuming, which could create a whole different way.
Yeah.
One of the thoughts I had was, and it's a little bit different, but maybe asking him to show him some of the properties and scheduling a time for him to go and look at something that's a reasonable comp, so he can see it in person.
Yeah. I think you guys are jumping ahead of it. I want to make sure Donnie gets this. Unless you find out what his pain and motivation is, you're going to be fighting battles with him forever, and you won't land that listing. That's my only point. We can take stabs. We can take a stab at this. We can all throw darts at what we think it is, right? But so the number one objective in that meeting, Donnie, is build amazing rapport with this person, compliment the heck out of his home, right? Try to build rapport around the Ford principle and draw out what his motivation is and what his pain is. And then from there, your answer will appear on what you need to do to land that listing.
He's saying, although this is somebody else, he's already overspent to build, so he wants to save money in commission. That sounds like that's a thought, but that's not from Donnie, though. You still haven't found his actual pain and motivation. Might be able
let's
to do
assume that
in
it
person.
is. Let's assume that that's a good example. Let's say that's what it is. He's overspent and he wants to save money on the commission, right? Let's assume that's what it is. Great. Well, then you have, how do you overcome that objection? Real simple. You got to frame it the right way. But let's say Ron is this builder. Hey, Ron, I respect that you've overspent on the property and that you're looking to save on the commissions. And one of the things that a lot of home builders don't realize in your scenario is that by not actually marketing it and working with an agent that has a large pool of buyers and getting maximum exposure to the property, for what you're trying to save in commissions, you could actually lose in attracting the right qualified buyer. And so I'm confident that if you give me an opportunity to market it the right way, you're going to get maximum exposure and you're going to get the best offers. Ron, on the surface level, does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. The only thing that's bothering me is that it's listed in the MLS.
It's not listed in the MLS.
No, he said it was, didn't he?
Did he?
A flat fee listing. Yeah, it's on MLS, and he has not marketed the
that proves my
property.
point even more, though.
Okay.
That's proven my point even more, is that who cares if it's in the MLS? You got to be working with the right buyer to you got to be working with the right agent to get it the right marketing exposure, and with somebody who has a huge network of buyers that use that. I'm glad he's on the MLS now, Donnie, right? I'm glad he is, because guess what? Clearly that's not, that's not what it takes. So use that. Hey, look, it's great that you're on the MLS. It's awesome, but you can change it this way. Ron, let's say that I'm you. Let's say that you're the builder. Hey, look, I appreciate where you're coming from, Ron. You're on the MLS. And I think we both agree that you haven't been able to track the buyer you want yet to it being on the MLS. And largely what I found with other builders or other people like yourself that have just tried to use the MLS, it actually takes working with the right agent that can help you market the property for maximum exposure, and actually has a large pool of buyers already that they're already working with. And that will actually get you the best offer. Because I'm not, Ron, no one's trying to get you a offer. Anybody can get you an offer. But getting you the best offer with multiple offers is what's going to help you net what you need to net off this property. And that's what I'm confident I can do, right? Does that make sense, Ron?
Sure.
So then let's do this. Here's how my process works. I'm going to share with you exactly how I'm going to market this home step by step, so you can clearly see how I'm going to track the right buyer. And then Donnie, show them a clear roadmap of what you're going to do to attract that buyer, right? Step by step by step by step, and what it's going to be like to work with you, and then close and enroll into the agreement.
Did you read what he put down as his new quote? The MLS alone does not
I
sell
love
a home.
it. I love it. That's great.
I give him, if I was Donnie, I probably would approach this because this is his first meeting, discovery meeting. What he needs to do is go on the MLS and see if there's an agent involved. Okay, it could be a flat fee listing, but if there's an agent involved, he needs to step back. Depending if he's in the state of New York, I don't know where he is. All right. Here's the thing, Donnie. Here's what I would do. I'd look up right in the eye and say, Mr. Seller, Mr. Contractor, there's only one way to bring you the right qualified buyer, and that way we have to have 6 things in place, and that which will attract that qualified buyer. And do you know what those 6 things are?
This is good. Write this down, folks. This is good.
He's going to go, no, how would I know what the 6 things are? He said, these 6 things are this. And this is what's going to attract you, not just a buyer, but as Isaiah said, the right qualified buyer. Price, terms, condition, location, marketing, and the agent you choose. Those are the only way, this is the only way you're going to get the price and the buyer who will give you the price that you will be happy with. Don't tell him the price he's got now. The price you will be happy with.
So price, terms.
6 things.
Price,
terms, condition, location, marketing, and the agent you choose. Because all 5 of those come down to the agent you choose.
I got price, terms, condition, marketing.
Location, marketing.
And the agent you choose.
And the agent you choose. And that's what's going to get you the right buyer who's going to write the offer on a price you're going to be happy with. Let's face it, if any of those things out of our line, he ain't going to get his house sold for $50,000 over asking.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, even in today's market, that's insane. That's crazy.
And this house could back up to a dump. Yeah. Nobody's seen it yet.
Well, it goes back right to your point, Ron. That could be location, right? The condition's good, but it's the location. Maybe that lot isn't attractive, right? So I like that summary. That's really good.
I hate it when someone says it's a special lot. Why? Because it's crooked?
Yeah. April said that she couldn't hear Ron very well. We got 6 things price. Yeah, actually they were just typed in. Again, we'll copy and paste them. But we got the 6 things there. Really
price,
great.
terms, conditions, location, marketing, and the agent you choose.
Cool. Awesome. That's great. So we are out of time. I know we transitioned here a little bit, but I think this was great. And I want to do I think this is awesome. Would you guys agree this is pretty cool? Bringing a deal to the table and talking about something in real life. Right?
Yeah. I want to know what he does with it now.
That's what I was going to say. I want to know the results.
Yes. You better show up next week with a contract.
Yeah. So
No,
here's the
sold contract.
So let's do this, guys. All right. If you're joining us in these trainings, we're going to make time. We're going to make 15 minutes at the end of every training to go through a deal you're negotiating and a deal you're working on. How does that sound to everybody? So moving forward, bring your deals to this meeting. Bring your deals to this session. We'll put one on the plate, or maybe if we have time, two on the plate. So we're going to make sure that we're talking about the prospecting and sales, and we'll keep going until we've hammered through almost every freaking scenario over the next 7 weeks. So we're really feeling good about the prospecting and the selling part of our process. Okay. So I might live stream the meeting, Donnie says. That's awesome.
Have him call me.
Ron's there. What is that show where you can get a lifeline? Or what is that? Right? Ron's there.
Colton's Corner.
Who wants to be a millionaire, right?
Yeah, who wants to be a millionaire?
I'd like to call a friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I might live.
Deal or no deal. No.
Deal or no deal. That's
Yeah. Sorry,
Isaiah Colton's helpline.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go. That's funny.
I want to let you guys know about something awesome we're working around in the background. And I want to, for the record, just say that we're gonna make it happen, but it's a coming soon thing, and we just got to figure out how to do it. We're actually working on what's called a listing Dominator card. We might come up with a different name for it. Beatty's working on it in the background. And Beatty, if you could just give an explanation of what it is and what you're working on, what they can kind of look forward to.
Sure.
And we'll wrap up there.
So the whole idea behind the Listing Dominator card is really a card that does toward two things. Number one, it promotes why people should be trusting you, but as importantly, it gives them opportunity for them to request information on an offer that's included with the card. So what happens a lot of times is people are thinking about buying, but they may not pick up the phone and call you. But if we can get them to go to your website to get a free offer and track 100% of everyone who goes to the website without them even knowing, then we pick up a lot more people who are thinking about selling. They're in that educational phase and allows you to engage with them before they've actually reached out and called an agent.
That's awesome. If you're interested in knowing more about the Listing Dominator program, drop in the Hangout here that you're interested in finding out more about it. And then as it gets closer, Beatty can reach out to you and talk to you more about it. So drop in the Hangout if you want to know about the Listing Dominator postcard program, and we'll be happy to share that information with you. Interested, got to go to the listing. So Donnie said he's interested. So Clara, let's make sure we get Donnie's name. Guys, we appreciate you. Hope you guys have an awesome, anybody else who's interested in that program, drop your name in here. Hope you have an awesome rest of the week. Bring your deals to the table next week. All right, bring your deals to the table next week, and we'll see you soon.